In this video, we're going to talk about how to format figures and tables for scientific papers. We'll start out with figures. Figures are simply graphs or models, other visual aids that are used in your paper to support your claim. Figure labels go below a figure. They need to include a number of pieces of information. The figure title, and you order these figures in the number that they appear in your paper. So for example, let's say you use 3 graphs and 2 photographs in your paper, and the graphs come first and the photographs come second. You're going to have 5 figures in total, and they're going to be numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Whichever graph shows up first is number 1. Whichever photo shows up last is number 5. You're going to give each a title. Then you're going to give them a short description of the information that's displayed so that you can help your reader make sense of what's being shown in the graph. And then finally, you need a short summary of the main finding or take-home message displayed in your graph. So let's take a look at an example. Here is a figure. Note that we have labels on the X and the Y axis, and we've got some data represented by these blue bars. We've given it a name, figure 1, because it's the first figure in the document, and we've given it a title, Average Heart Rate of Humans Pre and Post Exercise. The treatment number 1 represents the post-swimming condition, and treatment number 2 represents the control data before the swimmer entered the water. So what you've done in that sentence right there is described the data that you are looking at. You're given information to your reader so that they can understand your graph better. Then you tell them that each bar represents the mean value for 25 swimmers. So you've given them more information to let them know how many swimmers were captured in each of these bars. Then you use the last sentence to show what the take-home message is. The heart rate was elevated after swimming relative to before physical activity. If we look at tables, tables are the other way that we can share information, and they're really designed to show summary information. You don't want to put all of your raw data, that is all the numbers that you've been collecting during lab, into a table. You want to just show the summary. For example, means, standard deviations, standard errors. Those are the kinds of things that you would show in a table. The key thing to remember about a table is that they don't actually have vertical bars. So when you're making your table, you may need to remove them using the borders and shading feature inside Excel or Word to remove any of those borders or shading that you don't need. Now the table label is going to have the same information as the figure, but the placement is different. They're actually going to be above the table. You still need a number, and in this case we're calling it a table, and we call it Table 1, again in the order that they appear in your final report. And then you have a title, and then you'll again include information that is going to tell your reader what's displayed in the table. So I'm saying that the values here represent a mean plus or minus a standard deviation. And then I'm also telling them when the data were collected, because that's going to help for interpretation. Then finally, you include a main finding or a take-home message that you wish to show your reader. So here's one example of what a table might look like. Here is a second example just created. One is made using Excel. That is this one up here, and the second table was created in Word. And so you can use them both ways, but that's just a basic overview of the things that are needed when you create figures and tables in writing scientific papers.